Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a truly beautiful, incredibly familiar architectural feature that, honestly, almost everyone sees but very few people can actually name. If you've ever stepped inside a traditional Catholic church, you've undoubtedly looked right at it. But, as with so many elements of historic architecture, there's a profound depth of meaning hiding right there on the surface. So we're going to decode the source material on the liturgical, historical, and spiritual importance of this absolutely fascinating structure.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to just mentally picture yourself sitting in a church pew. You're looking straight forward, down the main aisle, toward the very back of the building. Your eyes naturally rest on that stunning, usually highly adorned, curved space rising up directly behind the altar. It's majestic, it's prominent, and it completely commands your attention. But what is it actually called?
Well, this hidden secret in plain sight is called the apse. Defined simply, it's that semicircular or sometimes polygonal section located at the very end of a church. It essentially forms the physical backdrop directly behind the sanctuary and the altar. Its graceful, sweeping shape creates this immediate sense of dignity, and remarkably, this has remained a defining, anchoring feature of traditional church architecture for literally nearly 2,000 years.
But here's the thing. Our sources make a really fascinating point here. The church doesn't build merely for the sake of looking beautiful. Every single wall, every window, and certainly the apse has a specific purpose. It's what's referred to as a silent catechist, meaning it's designed to teach. Without speaking a single word, the architecture itself is meant to instruct us about Christ, the Eucharist, and the heavenly realities that the building was constructed to celebrate in the first place.
Section 1. Ancient Roman Roots.
Now, to truly understand how a wall can teach, we kind of have to look backward. And what's really interesting about this historical timeline is how it tracks the evolution of this exact space. Back in pre-Christian Roman times, the apse was actually part of a civic building called a basilica. It was the elevated, curved space where judges or civic leaders sat to administer earthly justice. Fast forward to when Christianity was legalized, Christians began constructing their own large public churches, and they ingeniously adopted this Roman basilica model. But they completely transformed its meaning. Instead of a place for earthly judgment, the apse became a space symbolizing Christ, the eternal King and Judge, making his eternal presence visually central to the entire building. Talk about a brilliant repurposing.
Section 2. What is usually found in the apse? Because of this incredibly rich history, the space is treated with immense reverence. As your eyes naturally follow the architecture upward, you'll discover that the contents of the apse are deeply intentional. Depending on the church, you're typically going to find several beautiful liturgical elements nestled right in there. We're talking a prominent crucifix, or sweeping sacred mosaics and murals depicting Christ, the Virgin Mary, or the saints. If you happen to be in a cathedral, the apse is traditionally where the cathedra, that's the bishop's ceremonial chair, is placed. In a lot of local traditions, the tabernacle rests here too, often surrounded by gorgeous decorative carvings and vibrant stained glass. And every single one of these pieces is carefully curated to deepen our understanding of the sacred mysteries being celebrated just steps away.
Section 3. Apse versus Sanctuary.
Now this brings us to a pretty surprising misconception. A lot of people confuse the apse with another incredibly important part of the church. So the crucial point we need to clear up is the difference between the sanctuary and the apse. The sanctuary is the actual sacred working area of the church. It's the floor space where the altar, the ambo, and the priest's chair sit. It's where the liturgy is actively celebrated. The apse, on the other hand, is the physical architectural shell. It's the curved structure forming the backdrop directly behind that sanctuary. Now, the sanctuary often extends right into the apse, which is exactly why the terms get tangled up, but they are absolutely distinct things.
Section 4. A Glimpse of Heaven.
So, let's look at how all this builds into the profound spiritual symbolism the church attributes to this architecture. You see, it's not just about drawing lines on a blueprint, it's about drawing the human mind upward. Throughout history, the apse has symbolically represented heaven itself. The sources we're analyzing note that the highly elevated and beautifully decorated form of the apse serves as this constant visual reminder. When the congregation's eyes are drawn toward the apse during Mass, they're meant to remember that the earthly liturgy isn't just a local gathering. It's a direct participation in the eternal worship of angels and saints. It is, quite literally by design, built to look like a glimpse of heaven.
You might be thinking about your own local parish right now, especially if it was built in, say, the last few decades, and wondering if you'll spot an apse the next time you walk through those doors. Does every single church have one?
Well, the short answer is not necessarily.
Modern church architecture has honestly adopted some incredibly varied shapes, from in-the-round seating to more angular contemporary designs that might not feature a traditional semicircular apse at all. However, if you visit most historic churches, classical basilicas, or grand cathedrals, they proudly retain a clearly identifiable apse, and they keep it because of that rich theological beauty and historical continuity we just explored.
Section 5. The ultimate takeaways.
So, what does this all mean? What exactly is the architecture trying to tell us here? Well, this brilliantly illustrates the core message from our sources, giving us 4 major takeaways. First, the design literally forces your eyes to the altar, proving it's the visual and spiritual center of worship. Second, its heavenly dome shape reminds us that the Mass actively participates in heavenly liturgy. Third, it proves that physical architecture is meant to teach the faith. It's active, not passive. And finally, it shows that beauty in sacred spaces isn't just superficial. It exists entirely to glorify God. Understanding these 4 points completely transforms our view of the church building. It goes from being just a collection of bricks and glass into a living, breathing catechism.
You know, the real value of an explainer like this is taking this knowledge and bringing it into the real world. So the next time you enter a traditional church, I highly encourage you to take a brief pause, look past the altar, look up at the curved walls and the art of the apse. Let its history and its intentional beauty deepen your reverence. Because once you actually know what it means, your experience of the space becomes instantly richer and just so much more intentional.
So I want to turn it over to you now. Before today, did you actually know this prominent space behind the altar was called the apse? And more importantly, if these ancient walls are designed to teach silently, it really begs the question, what are the modern spaces we build for ourselves silently teaching us about what we value most? Think about that for a second. Also, let me know what architectural feature or historical concept you want this explainer to decode for you next. There is just so much meaning baked into historic architecture waiting to be uncovered. Drop your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. Keep learning, keep looking up, and we'll see you in the next explainer.